get things started, I actually remember the day Jack was born. I remember thinking I have a little sidekick follow me around, this would be great, show him around the house. But it didn't take me very long to realize, he was new to the world, he was naive, so I took advantage of him in a few ways. The first thing I did was I set up what I called a money exchange. And I convinced him that the coins were way cooler than the paper. So what I do is I just give him my coins and he'd give me his paper. Soon enough, my mom shut that down just because she knew that, I was taking money from him. But I wasn't the only one to, taking advantage of my brother at that age. My sister and I, we loved Jack's laugh. It was the cutest thing ever. And the best way to make him laugh was to tickle him. He was very ticklish. So what we do is we tickle him. And eventually we figured out that if we tickled him long enough and hard enough, that he would leak. He would pee himself. So, we did that. And that's another thing is my mom shut that down. So now, but she hasn't shut that down for Emily. So Emily has her responsibility of handling it off here. But yeah, Jack was always the best behaved child. He definitely learned from Claire and I's mistakes. He actually only got spanked twice, both of which were mistakes by my parents. He didn't do something my parents thought he did. But with that being said, he was a very mischievous child. An example of this was we had a tennis lesson as a kid, a group lesson, and they had these big foam balls twice the size of a normal tennis ball. That they used to teach kids, and Jack was sitting in the back of the group while the coach was telling the kids something about tennis. And he was sitting, hiding, crouching behind everybody, furiously shredding this foam ball. And that made my mom super upset because he was just destroying property as fast as he could. And my dad just could not stop laughing. So, of course he got away with it because, my dad was happy about it. He was, he probably didn't get in trouble much because he was, super cute, especially when he would sleep. And he'd just fall asleep on a whim all the time. An example of this was we went to Craig's Cruisers as a family, and my mom was driving him in one of those go-karts, one of those child-parent go-karts where the kid has a fake steering wheel and they're actually not doing anything. He was a passenger, and he didn't really get the memo that go-karts were supposed to be fun, so he fell asleep 10 seconds into the ride and slept through the entire thing. But that's not even the craziest story. One time we were on a bike trip down this beautiful bike path, and Jack was complaining about being tired, and we just thought, oh, his legs are sore, he's just gonna be a wimp. But it turns out he was sleepy tired. And all of a sudden he fell asleep on his bike, goes off the trail down a 45-degree slope, and then lands literally a foot from a river. But you know what, after that, we made sure he was awake all the time, so Emily, that's another responsibility for you. Make sure Jack stays awake whenever you're biking. But it took a while for Jack to find a sport that he actually loved. He tried a bunch of different ones, maybe 5 or 6 different sports, until my parents just had to start bribing him to do sports. He only did swimming because he'd get cheesy bread after every swimming practice. And then eventually he found his calling when he saw these burly, high testosterone, crazy men on TV arm wrestling. And from that moment forward, he knew that was his thing. I was always stronger growing up, but he started training. He built a bunch of stuff in our basement, all these crazy contraptions with pulleys and all this. And eventually, within a month, he tried arm wrestling me again, and he beat me so bad he didn't think I was even trying. So he got super strong, super fast. He actually became state champion, which is pretty awesome for arm wrestling. So if you want to give him a challenge, he's over there. But that's not even the coolest thing about arm wrestling for him. It turns out it was a fantastic party trick that would entice all the ladies, especially Emily, which is why we're here today. But in all seriousness, I remember when Jack and Emily first met, I remember hearing Jack talk about Emily all the time, about how she literally checked every single box he was looking for, how she had such great faith, how she was loving, caring, kind, very fun, very active, all the fruits of the spirit, just the perfect girl. But something our family does that is kind of a tradition that Jack really liked is we do something called Are You an Athlete, which is where we toss a random object at somebody in our family and say, are you an athlete? So here's an example. Jack, are you an athlete? So he's an athlete, caught the object. I'm an athlete too, okay. And it turns out that he had done this with his previous girlfriends, but they were never up to snuff. They always dropped the objects. It turns out Emily would catch every single thing Jack threw at him, no matter where it was. She would always just reach out and grab it, and he was super impressed. So from that moment on, Jack definitely knew she was a catch. But in all seriousness, Emily, we are so happy to have you as part of our family. We've literally prayed for the perfect woman for Jack, and we definitely think you are that. So thank you so much for joining our Turner family. And yeah, with all that being said, let's raise a glass to Jack and Emily.